वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनं हृद्यन्तस्त्वभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तोतिदादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद्गुरुन् मन्महाधन मन्निष्ठारक मन्भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु दादाइन अति नीच ताकरा हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So we are continuing the Rudra Gita, that is 4th canto, 24th chapter, 424, and the chapter is titled Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva, and that's basically Rudra Gita. So I think last two classes we have been discussing this, and today we'll continue our discussion and hopefully complete this chapter on Rudra Gita. So I think last time we stopped at verse number 53, if I'm not wrong. So let's see. Okay. So, just to an overview of Rudra Gita. So, we see that how the Prachetas, they actually give received the order from his father Prachini Bari, who actually told them, okay, you should create progeny. And the Prachetas said, okay, we'll do that, but first we have to meditate, we have to perform austerities. And because all the Prachetas, they actually together, they started walking towards, and then we read the description of how they came to this big lake, right? A beautiful lake which was like the mind of a yogi, right? Mind of a yogi. And they were just walking to perform austerities, and they came to this beautiful place. They actually describe how they entered into the ocean for 10,000 years to perform austerities, right? And while they are walking towards the ocean, they actually see none other than Lord Shiva come out from this water body along with his associates. All the associates are glorifying Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva actually says, like earlier Vidura asked this question, how is it that Lord Shiva appeared to them? It is so rare to get darshan of Lord Shiva. How is it that Lord Shiva appeared to the Prachetas? And Lord Shiva himself makes the point that because you are, first of all, followers of Dharma, right? Then further he actually makes a point that the real reason why Lord Shiva spoke is because they are actually surrendered to Vasudeva. Lord Shiva knew that the Prachetas are performing austerities 10,000 years to please Vasudeva. And because Lord Shiva himself is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna, so he actually makes a point that those who are devotees of Lord Krishna are most dear to me, and I am most dear to them. right? So in that way, Lord Shiva is actually making a point. Hence, I have appeared to you. And then he tells the Prachitas, I'm going to give you this mantra, right, which is Rudra Gita, which is Pavitram, which is all pure, which is Mangalam, which is all auspicious, and which is Param, which is the highest, transcendental. I'm going to give you this mantra, and since you are going to perform austerities, just chant this mantra I'm going to give you. Right? And then he starts speaking Rudra Gita. And then in Rudra Gita, we see the first section that Lord Shiva speaks about is, he says, our prayer first is we want to get purified. And hence he actually starts off by saying, I want to purify, and he goes through each part, starting with the consciousness. He says, oh Lord, the prayer is, let my consciousness be purified. Then he actually comes and says, oh, let my intelligence be purified. Then he says, let my false ego be purified. Then he says, let my intelligence be purified. Then my mind. And then he goes through each one of these senses. And he's actually praying to the Lord, let my eyes be purified. Let my ears be purified. Let my smell, nose be purified. Right? Every verse we have read each one of the verses, and he's actually praying to every aspect. Like for consciousness, he's praying to Vasudeva. Then for false ego, he's praying to Sankarshan. So he's praying to all these different personalities who are in charge of these different elements. And even for the eyes, he's praying to Suryadev, right? Then and the mind, he's praying to Soma. In mind, he prays to Aniruddha and also to Soma. And he's praying to each one of these personalities and praying, please, you purify me, right? And only when my consciousness, my false ego, my senses, they're all purified, can I actually see you, right? So after those prayers of purification, then he actually says, the next section is basically where he talks about the personal form of the Lord. After getting purified, he actually says, oh Lord, now he says, I wish to see that form of yours, which is most dear to the devotees of the Lord. I don't want to see this universal form, the Virat Rupa. I want to see that form which is most dear to the devotees of the Lord. Right? And then he actually starts describing the beauty of the Lord. And one line that we repeated last time is, how is the beauty described? Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. Sarva Saundarya Sangraham means Sarva is all, Saundarya means beautiful, Sangraham, the sum total of all beauty, that is the Lord. Right? So he's actually glorifying. Lord Shiva is saying that how, oh Lord, you are the sum total of all the beauty. And then he describes the beauty of the Lord. And he goes again to different parts. So the shoulder, the chest of the Lord, the navel, the belly, the lower body. He's actually describing, and we can take up with this point that how sometimes the followers of Lord Shiva, again in those purpose Prabhupada made the point that sometimes the followers of Lord Shiva, they actually stick and have the conception of an impersonal Lord, right? Or they actually propagate the philosophy, oh, the Lord is impersonal, right? Now consider this, that Lord Shiva himself, so many verses is describing the personal form of the Lord, the beauty of the Lord, and he's telling these prachitas, meditate on this beautiful form of the Lord. If Lord Shiva himself is proper in the purpose, make the point, he is authoritatively giving the beautiful description of the Lord. Where is the question of saying that finally the Lord is impersonal, the Lord does not have a form? There is no question. You turn to Rudra Gita, see Lord Shiva himself, how he is meditating on each aspect, the lower body of the Lord, the belly of the Lord, the chest of the Lord. If the Lord finally is impersonal, how they say that the Lord comes and accepts a material body of goodness. If that is the case, then why would Lord Shiva go through every aspect and tell the prachitas, meditate on this form of the Lord? If the Lord's form is not transcendental, why would Lord Shiva actually say all these verses of the glories of the Lord? Right? And then finally we came to a point of Pada Sharat Padma Palasha Rochisa. Your two lotus feet are as beautiful as two autumn lotus petals. and he's actually meditating. And we discussed this point that how he's saying when we meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, then we are praying that the effulgence from the toenails of the Lord, let that effulgence purify my consciousness, and dissipate the darkness in the heart. So we discussed this point last time, that we actually said that Lord Shiva is saying that when we start meditating on take darshan of the form of the Lord, or meditate, we start with the lotus feet and we pray that the effulgence from the toenails, let that actually destroy the darkness in the core of my heart. Only then can I actually really appreciate the beauty of the Lord. So we start with the lotus feet and then we go higher and higher towards the smiling face of the Lord. Right? So in this way, we read the description of the meditation on the form of the Lord, and the verse number 53 basically Lord Shiva says, Etad rupam anudheyam. Anudheyam means one has to again and again meditate on this form of the Lord. And if someone meditates on the form of the Lord, what will happen? What will happen? Atma shuddham. His self will be purified. Right? Therefore, he says, Abhipsatam, those who are desiring to purify ourselves should again and again meditate on this form of the Lord. Right? And then Abhaya Daha, this will actually give us fearlessness, right? And then Swadharma Anushchitam. So basically, Lord Shiva is saying that those, while doing your occupational duties, we should always meditate on the form of the Lord. And by that, we'll actually get fearlessness, right? Free from all fear, and our consciousness will get purified, right? So that is the result of meditating on the form of the Lord. So that was basically text 53. Okay, so that's where we stopped, and today we'll continue text 54. Okay, does anyone has any comments or any questions up to this point in Rudra Gita? Anyone? Everyone? Are you following this section of the Bhagavatam? Just 1 minute, I'll be back. Okay, so we'll continue. We'll start off with text number 54. Right? So in 53, in 53, Lord Shiva uses the word Yad Bhakti Yogo Abhayadeha. So Bhakti Yoga. He actually said that one should meditate on the form of the Lord in Bhakti Yoga. Now he's actually making the point. The next section points out how that Bhakti Yoga is actually the highest form of yoga. Right? So that's 54.
Text 54. Bhavan bhakti mata labhyo durlabha sarvadehinam swarajyasyapyabhimato ekantenatma vidgatihi.
Hare Krishna translation. My dear Lord, the king in charge of the heavenly kingdom is also desirous of obtaining the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. Similarly, you are the ultimate destination of those who identify themselves with you. Aham Brahmasmi. However, it is very difficult for them to attain you. whereas a devotee can very easily attain your lordship. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Right. So basically here, what is Lord Shiva actually saying? Here he says, Bhavan. Okay, so he says, my dear Lord. Yeah. So he says, my dear Lord, Bhakti Mata Labhya. Right? He's actually making the point that those who, Bhavan Bhakti Mata Labhya, those who you are easily, right, easily obtained by who? Then he actually says, Dullabha Sarva Devina. But rarely you're easily obtained by bhakta, devotees, right? So that bhakti is actually referring to devotees. You're easily obtained by your devotees, but dullabha sarvadevina, but rarely obtained, very difficult to obtain by any other living entity, right? Your devotees can easily approach you, but very difficult to be obtained by any other living entity. And then the line 3 actually says, Sarv Swarajya, right? Yapya Abhimata. That Swarajya. Swarajya refers to the king of the heaven. Even like people aspire to go to Swargaloka to actually attain that opulence or the location of Indra. And here he's saying even Indra and then even Brahma, they are actually desiring to obtain you. Right? And then last line he actually says, Ekantenatma vidgatihi. And you are the ultimate destination for Atmavit. Atma means the self-realized. Ekanta oneness. So basically he's saying you're the ultimate destination of the Kumaras and the other self-realized personality. So the point here is he's saying that, my dear Lord, even the king of the even Indra is actually desiring to obtain the ultimate goal of life, which is actually Bhakti Yoga. And you yourself are very easily obtained by those who are devotees. So Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes the Brahma Samhita verse, which actually says, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayomancha Vedeshu Dullabam Adullabam Atma Bhakto. Right? So Vedeshu Dullabam. Even those who study the Vedas, even for them, dullabha, very difficult to obtain the Lord. But he says, adullabam atma bhakto, those who are devotees of the Lord, for them, adullabam, not difficult, that means very easy, right? So Brahma himself in Brahma Samhita is saying that this primary Lord, or Govinda, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, to those who study the Vedas, but who can be obtained by the pure unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada is quoting this, that simply by studying Vedanta philosophy, one cannot actually attain the Lord. And this was the point when Mahaprabhu actually met Prakashananda Saraswati, right? And we see the whole conversation when they were the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati were actually students of Vedanta. And when Mahaprabhu met Prakashananda Saraswati, their complaint was like, you are a sannyasi, why don't you study Vedanta? Your duty is to study Vedanta. And then Mahaprabhu's point is like, my spiritual master said, I'm a fool. He just asked me to chant and dance, right? Ami Murkha. I'm a fool. I don't have authority over studying Vedanta. I'm just chanting. But the point is, Mahaprabhu, through that conversation, proved that just through devotional service, we can actually attain. It's not that you have to become a student of Vedanta to actually attain the Lord. All we need to do is to engage in devotional service. Therefore, Prabhupada says in this verse, that is the meaning of Vedeshu Dullavam Adullavam Atma Bhakto. So even Lord Shiva is making the same point here, that the Lord is easily attained by devotees. Bhagavad Gita makes the same point. 1855 says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. I can be attained by bhakti. Only by bhakti, right? Krishna is not saying Jnana Mam Abhijanati. No, he's saying Mam. Me is saying, I am right here. I can be obtained by bhakti. Right? And Prabhupada here compares that how karma yogis, jnana yogis, dhyana yogis, for all them, the Lord is not easily accessible. But those who engage in devotion service, you start the journey of devotion service, the Lord immediately becomes accessible. And this is the power of bhakti. The bhakti is so powerful that anyone who actually starts their journey of devotional service, the Lord is attracted by devotional service, and he becomes active in the life of this devotee. Right? And hence Prabhupada says, thus if one desires to enter into the spiritual world, he must try to understand the Lord by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Right? Okay. The next verse, text number 55.
Tam duraradhyam aradhya satam api durapaya ekanta bhaktya ko vanchit padamulam vinabahi. Vamsi Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, pure devotional service is even difficult for liberated persons to discharge, but devotional service alone can satisfy you. You who will take to other processes of self-realization if he is actually serious about perfection of life. Hare Krishna.
So, having pointed out that only through devotional service the Lord can actually be attained, can easily be attained. Now in 55 further he is actually elaborating the point. He says, Tam duraradhya. It is very difficult to worship the Lord. How? Aradhya means worship. Satam api, even for those who are liberated souls. Satam api, even for the most exalted personality, it's difficult to attain the Lord. Like Durapya, very difficult to attain. But then he actually says, Ekanta Bhaktya, right? The Lord, it is only possible by Ekanta, one pointed devotional service. How Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Ananya Bhakti. Right? So Krishna is actually talking about if you want to attain the Lord, yes, bhakti, but what kind of bhakti? Not mixra, not jnana mishra bhakti, not karma mishra bhakti. It has to be ekanta bhakti, that pure devotional service. So in Nectar of Devotion, in the first chapter, when it talks of the qualities of pure devotional service, the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service, the last characteristic is Krishna Akarshin. The bhakti is so powerful that Krishna gets attracted by bhakti. But what bhakti? This talks of the bhakti, Uttama bhakti, right? Not just any other Mrishya bhakti, Uttama bhakti. So here also the point is said that Ekanta bhaktya, Ekanta bhaktya. Right? So the Lord can be easily obtained by Ekanta bhaktya, but even those who are liberated, it is difficult for them to obtain the Lord. Right? But how is this Ekanta bhaktya? Is it easy to get? So even in that section of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it actually says that this devotional service is very rare, very rare. Right? One of the characteristics that Rupa Goswami says is very rare. So same here, the word is durapaya. To get Ekanta Bhakti is very rare, right? So, and then further he says, Kaha vanchet pada moolam vina. Right? So who would desire anything other than that pure devotional service? And here that swarga, that bahi, means external or any other process of self-realization, which is devoid of your lotus feet. Pada moolam vina bahihi. Right? So pada moolam vina, which is devoid of your lotus feet. Why would anyone take up to any other process which is devoid of your lotus feet? And the whole point of Lord Shiva is, even though that bhakti is rare to obtain, and the people, aspire, even Brahmaji, even Indra, their perfection of life is to attain pure devotional service. Even though it is difficult, they aspire, because only through pure devotional service you can be actually understood. So again here in the purport, just like in previous purport, Prabhupada makes the point that how there are 3 kinds of transcendence: Jnani, Yogi and Bhakta. But then Prabhupada says, out of these 3, the Bhakta is selected as the most suitable candidate to approach the Lord. Right? Only one who is outside devotional service would not engage in searching the lotus feet of the Lord. So basically he's making the point that how without practicing Bhakti Yoga, it is impossible to attain the Lord. But Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that the Lord will actually appear, one can easily obtain. But Bhakti Yoga is also rare. Right? So one way Lord Shiva speaking this, because he is the highest Bhakta, Vaishnavam Yatha Shambhu, he is actually saying the devotion service is the highest, and because he's a devotee, he can give devotion through these prayers he is giving that very rare devotion to the Prachetas. So that is 55. Okay. So now we go to 56.
Yatra nirvishtam aranam kritanto manyate vishvam vidvam sayan virya shorya vispurjita bhruva.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Simply by expansion of his eyebrows, invincible time personified can immediately vanquish the entire universe. However, formidable time does not approach the devotee who has taken complete shelter at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So basically he says now he's glorifying the devotees of the Lord. And here he says Nirvishtam Aranam. So those who are Nirvishta Aranam means those who are completely surrendered to Lord Shri Krishna. So in the previous verse he talked of Ananya Bhakti, right? Ananya Bhakti. Or basically he said Ekanta Bhakti, right? Ekanta Bhaktya. So that those who are that Ekanta Bhaktya, what is the glory of them? And he says Krita Anta. Na abhimanyate. Even invincible time, even time cannot attack those who are completely surrendered to the Lord. Right? And then further he says, Vishwam Vidham Sayam. That time which actually vanquishes the material world, Vishwam, the entire universe is vanquished by that time. Saurya Vishpuraji Bhruva. Simply by the expansion of the eyebrow. Right? So basically, simply by the expansion of your eyebrows, invincible time personified can destroy the entire universe. Right? So we make the point that everything just happens by the will of the Lord. And the Lord can just like move his eyebrows and the entire world will be destroyed. How? Through invincible time. But that time which is so powerful, no one can escape time. That time, the devotees, one way, those who are ekante bhakti, are completely surrendered, they actually conquer over this influence of time. Right? So that influence of time does not attack a devotee. Right? So Prabhupada explains what does it mean that time does not attack a devotee. Right? One way, the basic conception is, the simple, straightforward conception is, devotees of the Lord, because they are always absorbed in Krishna conscious activities, in devotional service. So even while they are in this world, they are always actually chanting the name of the Lord, they are hearing about the Lord, they are preaching the glories of the Lord. They are engaged in the eternal activities. So if they are engaged in the activities of the spirit soul, of the eternal activities, they are true dharma, paro dharma, then either here or somewhere else, they are engaged in eternal activity. It does not matter. Time does not actually matter for them because they are always engaged in their eternal activity. So Prabhupada here in the purport explains from Bhagavad Gita 10:34, where Krishna says, Mrityu sarva haraschaham. That Krishna says, I am that death personified. I will take away everything for the conditioned soul. However rich a person may be, billionaire, whatever, at the time of death, he cannot take even one penny with him. Right? Everything will be taken away from a person at the time of death. Right? However powerful a person is, he cannot overcome the influence of time. Right? But when takes some devotional service, time cannot destroy devotional service. Right? And this we read in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna actually says, where Arjuna actually asks this question, that what if someone starts this journey of bhakti and then somehow due to some reason he's not able to complete that journey, right? He's just progressed a little bit. Then what happens to that? And what does Krishna answer? He says, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yogo Brashto Bijayate. So basically he makes the point that those who have practiced bhakti, and then he says, two cases. If they have done bhakti for a long time, the bhakti is never destroyed. And they will actually continue in their next life from where they have stopped. If you have done for a long time, they'll take birth in a family of devotees. If you have done for a short time, maybe they'll get promoted to Swarga Lok, they'll enjoy some opulences, but they'll come back, they'll continue. Either way, bhakti can never be destroyed. Whatever we have done, right? Therefore Krishna says, Swalpam api asya dharmasya. Trayatamata. Even little bit you have progress, that is your eternal credit. Time cannot destroy our devotional credit. Like, whatever we have progress in this life, if somehow due to some reason we leave this body at that moment, then wherever we are, next life will continue from that. So that proves that the time, influence of time, which is destroying everything, which will take away everything material, it cannot affect our devotional service. So, and then Prabhupada says, a karmi, right? A karmi may work so hard to get material prosperity, but at the time of death, everything will be destroyed. What about jnanis? Jnanis may attain high state of realization. But then Prabhupada quotes that verse when he frequently quotes in his classes, 10-32, prayers from the demigods. Aruya Krishnena padam padam tatha patanti ada nadrita yushmat angraya. That even those who actually think, oh, through my process of Gyan Yoga, I have attained perfection, even they, because they have not taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they are not engaged in devotional service, they will come back down to this material world of birth and death. Right? So only the devotion of a devotee is actually not disturbed by time. It continues. Right? It continues. Whatever we have done, time cannot destroy one's bhakti. So Prabhupada makes devotees' achievement is never lost. 1% your progress in life, that 1% is your eternal credit. And then Prabhupada also quotes Ajamil in this purport. He actually says how Ajamil, initially in his life he practiced bhakti, but then later on he got deviated, but at the end of his life, that same practice was there. At the time of death, when those Yamadutas came, he called out his son, but when he was calling out son, because he had practiced bhakti, he was thinking of Narayan, the original Supreme Personality of God. Right? And then in that pastime, the Yamaraj, when there's a conversation between Yamaraj and Yamadutas, and he actually tells them, devotees should be offered respect. Do not go near the devotees. Yamaraj, who is the representative, who controls death, right? Who controls death, he actually is telling his own servants that those who are devotees, do not go near them. Right? Do not go near them. Right? So, therefore, in other words, devotional service which is rendered by a devotee in this lifetime can never be destroyed by time. Right? A devotee has no fear of samsara. Right? Even in this life, he is engaging in devotional service. Okay, whatever, whenever that has to come, I will continue. Next life, I'll continue. Wherever I am, I'm going to continue engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Okay. Text number 57.
Na kshanardhenapi tulaye na svargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sanghasya martyanam kim utashishaha.
Hare Krishna, 424.57. If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Hare Krishna.
So basically he says here, this verse is actually very similar to a verse that appears twice exactly in Srimad Bhagavatam. So imagine, this is like kind of the third time, except the first line is slightly different, but the line 2, 3 and 4 are exactly same, right? So we read this in the first canto, 18th chapter, text number 13, where there's a Parikshit Maharaj himself is saying, Tulayama lave napi, and then that's the first line. And you see see in this verse line 2, 3 and 4. And that verse says, Tulayama lave napi, na swargam na punarbhavan, bhagavad sangi sangasya martyanam kim usha utasisha. So 2, 3 and 4 is exactly same to 1, 18, 13. And this same verse 1, 18, 13 appears a second time in a different canto. So this is almost like a third time that the verse is actually appearing. So how important in this verse? So having pointed out that the Lord can be easily obtained through devotional service, how And what kind of devotional service? It is very rare, ekantya bhaktya, right? Very rare to attain that kind of devotional service. And how even time cannot affect the devotion of a devotee, right? Then he says, therefore, O prachetas, what you have to do? You have to search out, find the association of devotees. There's nothing better than that, right? One who prays, so basically is making the point that if you pray in this way, then you will certainly get the association of devotees. And that is the highest, right? And here, what is the first line? The first line says, Shana ardhe napi. Yeah, so Shana ardhena. Shana ardhena means even half a moment. Right? Shana ardhena, by half a moment, even. Tulaye, compare. So in the other verse, 118:13, it says, Tulayama lavenapi. So basically, it's saying you take a tula. Tula is a weighing scale or a balance, right? You have a balance, and then you put on one side, na swargam na apunar bhavam. So you put the benefits of swargaloka or apunar bhavam or attaining liberation all on one side, all the benefits of any other process on one side, and you compare that with one moment, or here it says half a moment of association with devotee. Still, that half a moment of association is more powerful than any of these other processes. Even attaining swarga, even apuna bhavam, merging into the Brahman, all these processes do not compare to the glory of even half a moment of an association with the devotee. So neither na swarga means neither to heavenly planets, na apunar bhava means neither merging into supreme, bhagavad sangi sangasya. Therefore take advantage of association, sangi sangasya, association of devotee of the Lord. Martyanam kim utasisa. What is the use of any other benediction? Even the benedictions given by demigods. What is the use of them when they themselves are subjected to birth and death? What is the use of getting the benedictions from all these demigods? Because demigods themselves have a limited time scale. So anything they give is going to be limited. So what's the use of that? Therefore, the only thing worth aspiring for is association of devotees. Right? Therefore, we should always aspire for the association of devotees. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a point. See, this verse is so beautiful because it's saying even half a moment of association, what is the glory of that? Then he says, how much more if someone gets several moments of association? And then furthermore, how much more if that association takes place with devotion? And furthermore, how much more that in that association that person actually receives prema. How do we get prema, Krishna prema? Only through association. So he's actually saying, even a moment is so glorious, what to talk about all these higher, right? So, and Prabhupada in his purport, he actually starts off by this very famous verse, very frequently quoted verse by Prabhupada. In lectures also we hear him quote this verse again and again. This is by Prabodhananda Saraswati from Chaitanya Chandramrita, where it says, Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapura akasha pushpayate durdendriya kala sarpa patale proktaya damsrayate vishwam purna sukhaya vidhi mahendradis chakitayate yat karunaya kataksha vaibhava vatam tam gauram eva stumaha. And basically, this verse is basically making the point that one, karunaya kataksha, one gets the mercy of Mahaprabhu, then for that person what? Kaivalyam narakayate. Even that the perfection of merging into the impersonal, that is like hellish, because he loses his identity and loses the opportunity to serve the Lord. So here in this verse it says apunar bhavam. That same thing is kaivalyam narakayate. So Prabhupada explaining that apunar, merging into bhavan, into the supreme, with this word of kaivalyam narakayate. So for devotees, how is that perfection of apuna bhava? It is narakayate, just like hellish. They don't even want that. Right? And then further this verse is tridasha akasha pushpayate. Right? So even that the perfection of getting swargaloka, how is that? Tridasha akash pushpayate. It is just like a will of the whisk. Or if someone says, oh, there's a beautiful flower in the sky. What is that? A beautiful flower in the sky? That's just your imagination because there's no flower inside the sky. It may be a cloud has formed in that. It is just like an imagination. Similarly, getting the perfection of higher Swarga Loka is just like an imagination for a devotee. Right? And then it says, Durdendriya Kala Sarpa Patale. For a devotee, the senses, which are like venomous serpents, they are like serpents with broken fangs. Because the senses of a devotee are not bewildered because he's always engaged in service to the Lord. All this is possible because of, and then Vishwa, okay, further it also says, Vishwam Purna Sukhate, and all the happiness of this world, all right, is actually insignificant for a devotee. Vidhi Mahendradishcha Kitayate. Even the glories of Brahma and Mahendra, Indra, is actually Kitayate, just like a bee, or like Kitayate is like a insignificant ant, insignificant bug. That is for a devotee, he doesn't care for all this. All this is possible only when one receives the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So that's that verse. But here Prabhupada is quoting and saying that for a devotee, all these things are actually insignificant. Okay? Bhakti yoga is sufficient to give the bhakta all happiness, Prabhupada says. Right? And then he quotes 126, which actually says, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratiyata ye atma suprasidati. Ye atma suprasidati means that bhakti yoga, that pure, unmotivated, uninterrupted devotion service, ye atma suprasidati, will give the highest happiness to a devotee. So devotee does not aspire for anything else, any other happiness, because bhakti yoga gives the highest bliss to a devotee. Therefore, he is not interested in anything else. Right? And that highest bliss becomes accessible by a half a moment of association with the devotee. Just a half a moment association, and then he can get the highest perfection. So I think I told this story before. I'm not sure whether I told this in our Bhakti Vaibhava classes, but about one person who actually later on, he came to the Los Angeles temple. This is during Prabhupada's time. And he actually said, later on he joined the temple, but he said that, how did my journey start? And he was saying that once I was in New York, in the subway, in the subway. And, I was sitting in the subway, and one person just came on board the subway, and he looked a little bit, I've never seen such a person. He looked, how he was dressed was like very, not very commonly seen. But he came, he sat next to me, and just from one station to another, he was there. He was sitting next to me, he spoke something, and then I couldn't even understand because he had some kind of accent. He said something, I had no idea what he said, and then he got off the next station. So just that moment of association, imagine how much time a subway takes to go from one station to another in New York, right? That moment, and that's it. And that was it. And then he actually did not think about it. He said, I don't know who was this person, what he said, I couldn't understand anything. And then later on, somehow he felt inspired to actually start pursuing yoga, because in yoga was something at that time, people knew yoga. So started pursuing yoga. He became a vegetarian. Just like he didn't know why all these changes were happening, but he became interested in yoga, became a vegetarian, and then somehow or other, because his interest started, he actually came by to a Hare Krishna temple, and later on he joined the temple and became a devotee. And then after becoming a devotee, he said, how did my journey start? Just that moment of association with Srila Prabhupada. And this is the power. So imagine his entire life, for lifetimes he's been suffering in this world, and that small moment of association with the devotee, and that also he did not understand anything what Prabhupada said, but just hearing that transcendental sound vibration from a devotee, his life transformed, he became a devotee. This is the power of association with devotee, right? Pure devotee. So that's this verse, that nothing compares to the benefit, the glory of even half a moment of association with a devotee. Therefore, we see, just few chapters before, we read about Prithu Maharaj. What is Prithu Maharaj? He's seeing the Lord. The Lord is right in front of him. And in praise of Prithu Maharaj, what is he asking? I just want to have the association of devotees. I just want to hear Hari Katha from the association of devotees. What does Dhruv Maharaj earlier in this canto pray for? He prays for the same thing. The Lord is right in front of him, and he's actually praying, oh, please let me get that association of devotees. Let me hear Hari Katha from the association of devotees. Again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are seeing, even though the Lord is front, Krishna is in front of them, and they are asking, oh Lord, please give me the association of devotee of the Lord. This is the glory of association with devotees. And that's what Lord Shiva is actually saying, that all one needs to pray for is to achieve the association of devotees of the Lord. Okay, so let's continue 58.
Prabhu, can you repeat the how much more so if we get more than half a moment association, and then you said a few other things?
Yeah. So by half a moment of association, that actually in this verse says that cannot be compared to any material opulence, even merging, right? So that is already glorious. What more to say if someone gets several moments of association? Right? What more to say if that association takes place in that moment of bhakti? That means that, you're associating with a person and there is exchange of Hari Katha, right? What more to say that you are getting the association of a devotee, but in that there is exchange of prema. So one way Vishwanath Chakravarti takes it higher and higher. But it starts off even a moment of association, so glorious. So what to talk of these higher aspects?
Okay, thank you.
And then Prabhupada, one minute, sorry. In the purport, in the last Prabhupada also makes a point. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can anyone understand Krishna. Right? So unless we get blessed by a pure devotee, there is no question of us being satisfied. Because if we don't, see, we are all aspiring for that yenatma suprasidati, that happiness which we get in contact. And we all, our longing is that when our soul is hankering, when can I actually get that happiness, that moment of happiness which I get with Krishna? And we are all hankering, we don't realize it. And because we don't know how we can experience that, the same desire to get happiness is projected in this material world. Right? And hence we try so many endeavors, and hence we are never satisfied. So hence Prabhupada is making a point that without being blessed by a pure devotee, we can never be satisfied. Without experiencing that nectar of Hari Katha, we can never be satisfied in this world. 58.
Text 58. Athanaghan gres tava kirti tirtayor antarbahi snana vidhuta papmanam bhuteshvanukrosha susatvarshilinam syat sangamonugraha esha nastava.
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all the contamination of sin. I therefore beg your Lordship to bless me by the association of your devotees who are completely purified by worshipping your lotus feet and who are so merciful upon the conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees.
So imagine Lord Shiva himself is saying, what is the real mercy of the Lord? The last line says, Sat Sangama Anugraha. That your real mercy is that you will bless me with your association of the Lord. Such association is your real mercy. So even in our life, when we talk of reciprocation of the Lord, we are engaging in bhakti, we engage in so many, different services. The real benediction is the Lord will bless us with more and more association of devotees. Somehow we are traveling somewhere and all of a sudden we say, oh, this devotee is here, and we get that association moment, the association of devotees. So here Lord Shiva is saying that association, such association of devotees is the real benediction of the Lord. Right? Now the first few lines says, Atha anagha. Anagha, we have heard this word before. Agha means sin. Anagha means who is sinless. Right? So here it says anagha. So it's saying, okay, I want the association of those devotees who are anagha. Anagha, who are sinless. Right? And how are they sinless? Right? Because further it says, Tava kirti tirthayar. Right? Who are, Tava kirti means glorification. Right? Glorification. So those who are purified by always glorifying you, I want their association. Right? Tava kirti means glorification. Therefore, he's saying that I want the association of those people who are, okay, there's also the word angre. Angre means the lotus feet. Who are purified by always glorifying your lotus feet. That's the kind of association I want. And then further he actually makes a point. The first point is Tava Kirti. Right? Angre Tava Kirti, who was always glorifying your lotus feet. This is the kind of devotee association I want. Then further, second point is Tirthayor Anta Bahi Snana. Tirtha referring to the holy Ganga. Anta Bahi Snana. By taking bath in the Ganges water. And they are purified within and without, externally and internally. So one may say, like, for a devotee, if he's already glorifying the Lord, what is this point of taking bath in the Ganga? So here it is, Lord Shiva is saying that those who glorify your lotus feet, they are purified, and that glorification of your lotus feet is like taking bath in the Ganga. Because that nectar of Harikatha is there. So one who is always absorbed in the lotus feet, it is like taking bath in the Ganga, where he gets purified externally and internally. Right? So that is one. And the second, which Prabhupada is actually explaining, he's saying that Ganga, where does Ganga come from? Ganga comes from the lotus feet of the Lord. So another meaning that Prabhupada is giving, Angre refers to lotus feet and saying the holy water which is washing your lotus feet. Devotees take shelter of that, and because of that, they are purified externally and internally. Right? So that's the second explanation here. Right? So therefore he says that I want the association of those devotees who are completely purified, right, externally and internally, by either always glorifying your lotus feet, or by bathing in the Ganga which is coming from your lotus feet. Right? Then, so that's 2 points. And third point, he actually says, right, so Vidhuta Papamanam. Vidhuta means washed away. They are washed away from contaminated state of mind. Then further he actually says, Bhuteshu Anukrosha. Right? Bhuteshu Anukrosha. Anukrosha means those who are merciful. Those devotees who are compassionate to other living entities. Right? I want their association. See, the point is, like, yes, we want the association of devotees, but imagine if there is a devotee who is just interested in his own spiritual life. You go and you try to get the association of devotee, and he's like, okay, don't disturb, I have to chant my rounds. So here the point is that he's aspiring for the association of those devotees who are compassionate. Because I am fallen. If I go to a devotee who is compassionate, then he will actually have compassion upon me, and he will actually bless me with that Harikatha. Right? So, Bhuteshu Anukrosha, and then Susattva Shilana. And what is the other quality of devotee? Susattva. That means, Sattva means goodness, or Susattva means who has pure goodness, or who has proper conduct. Shilana means character, right? So, who have proper conduct and pure hearts. Such association is your real mercy. So basically he's saying association of devotee is your real mercy. But what kind of devotee? And these are the 4 qualities that he's actually mentioned. Okay. Yeah. So Prabhupada in the purport says how Ganga water is celebrated as able to eradicate all kinds of sinful reactions. Right? And then this Ganga emanates from the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, those who are directly in touch with the lotus feet are always absorbed in chanting the glories of the Lord. So I have explained this point already. So taking bath in Ganga, or chanting the glories of the Lord. And then the point of compassion. Such unalloyed devotees are able to show mercy to the common conditioned souls. So we want the association of those devotees like Srila Prabhupada who are so compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls. Even those who are like the most fallen, Prabhupada did not say, oh, this Bauri, so dirty people, I will not go. He went to the people who are like we would actually say that, oh, I would not even go close to a person. Prabhupada went to those people to actually show compassion. That is the kind of association we desire for. Right? Then Prabhupada here actually says, he quotes Vrindavan Das Thakur from Chaitanya Bhagavat, has sung that devotees of Lord Chaitanya are so powerful that each one of them can deliver a whole universe. Think about that. The power of a devotee of Mahaprabhu is so merciful or so powerful that he can deliver a whole universe. And who is the example who comes to our mind? Anyone knows?
Vasudev Dutt.
Vasudev Dutt. Why? Because Vasudev Dutt, when he came to Mahaprabhu, he actually said, oh Mahaprabhu, you please give me all the sinful reactions of... Actually, first he says this. He actually says, please deliver everyone in this universe. And then he says, but if you think that they have everyone has so much sinful reactions, let me, Vasudev Dutt is saying, let me take the sinful reactions of all living entities in this universe. Can you imagine the compassion for devotee? He is willing to take sinful reactions of everyone in the entire universe, just so that all of them can go back to the spiritual world. That is the level of compassion of a devotee. And hence, Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, this is the power of a devotee of Mahaprabhu, that he can deliver the whole universe. And then what does Mahaprabhu say? Just because you, Vasudev, that you actually have this desire of delivering everyone in the universe, they are already considered that they are already delivered. Because Mahaprabhu, pure associate, is desiring something, the desire is certainly fulfilled. So everyone in the universe is delivered. Everyone is delivered. So this is the power of devotee. And then Mahaprabhu further says, but you don't have to take their sinful reactions. I will free them of all sinful reactions, and all of them are delivered just because you desire. So this is actually a shloka comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat in Madhya Kanda, chapter 16, text 160. It says, Ekeka brahmande tarite shakti dhare chaitanyera bhakta ganera emana mahima. So chaitanyera bhakta ganera. So the bhakta of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, emana mahima, the glory of a bhakta of Mahaprabhu is what? Ekake, even one of them, brahmanda tarite shakti dhare. He can actually liberate the entire universe. So why is Prabhupada quoting this shloka here? Because he's saying, finally, what kind of association we want? We want the association of devotees of Mahaprabhu. We want that association. That is our mood. Yes, certainly, Lord Shiva is saying, yes, we want the association of devotees who are with these 4 points that we discussed. But for us, practically, because we are in the period after Mahaprabhu, we want the association of devotees of Mahaprabhu. And though devotees are so glorious that each one of them can deliver the whole universe. Right? And then further Prabhupada makes a point that somehow we have been connected to Srila Prabhupada, connected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, it is a duty of each one of us to go out and preach. Go out and share Krishna consciousness. This is not just for us as followers of Srila Prabhupada. To go out and share Krishna consciousness is not just one other activity of devotional service. No, this is our prime duty, that we have to see how to share Krishna consciousness, how to give the holy name, how to distribute Srila Prabhupada. This is our real life and soul. This is Prabhupada's mission for all of us. How can we preach Krishna consciousness? So Prabhupada says, it's a business of devotees, right? How we have the book, Our Family Business. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu has written, Our Family Business. That book is what? All about, this is our family business to distribute the books, distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So here Prabhupada is saying, it is the business of devotees to preach the glories of the Lord and deliver all conditioned souls to the platform of Shuddha Sattva and then further pure goodness. Right? So So this is the point here. So what is Lord Shiva saying? That the real mercy of the Lord, the real reciprocation of the Lord is that the Lord will bless us with association of devotees, right? And particularly devotees of Mahaprabhu. That is the real mercy of the Lord. And here Lord Shiva has said that this is what we should aspire for. Just have to have association of devotees. So we can pray every day that, oh Lord, I am so sinful, I commit so many offenses, but let me always be in the association of devotees of Mahaprabhu. So that's our prayer to the Lord, and that's what Lord Shiva himself is praying. Okay. 59.
न यस्य चित्तं बहिरर्थविभ्रमं तमो गुहायां च विशुद्धमाविशत् यद्भक्तियोगानुगृहीतमञ्जसा मुनिर्विचष्टे ननु तत्र ते गतिम्.
Hare Krishna. The devotee whose heart has been completely cleansed by the process of devotional service and who is favored by Bhakti Devi does not become bewildered by the external energy, which is just like a dark well. Being completely cleansed of all material contamination in this way, a devotee is able to understand very happily your name, fame, form, activities, etc. Purport
Oh,
as
that,
sorry.
thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So it's very interesting, this verse is actually further, he's already described like what kind of devotee he wants to get association with. And then further he's actually saying that these devotees of the Lord, na yasya chittam bahir artha. Bahir artha means external. Bahi means external, right? External. So he's saying, I want the association of devotees. A devotee's heart, chitta or consciousness, is completely purified, right? Vibraham, completely, Vibraham means believe. Okay. A devotee's heart is completely purified, right, by Bhakti Yoga, right? So Vishuddham Avishat. So Vishuddham means completely purified. And because a devotee's heart is completely purified, then Bahir Artha Vibram, he is never bewildered by external objects. Right? So we quoted a verse previously by Prabhupada Saraswati, which actually says, Durdendriya Kala Sarpa Patale. That the senses of a devotee is just like a serpent whose poisonous teeth is taken away. Then what is the harm a serpent can do? Similarly, the senses of a devotee are never bewildered by anything external. Right? The famous story of how Srila Prabhupada, he was being worshipped by his disciples, and then he came and he sat in a car which was driven by someone, a chauffeur, someone who was not a devotee. And then that person who was driving, he was looking at Prabhupada and he was almost thinking that, why is everyone worshipping this personality? Right? And then Prabhupada, he didn't ask anything, but Prabhupada could understand the mind of that driver. And Prabhupada said, oh, in a room full of naked people, I will not be disturbed. And because that was his level of understanding. But Prabhupada is making the point that I am not agitated by anything. Anyone else in this world will get agitated. But I am beyond that agitation. And that's the point that here it actually said, a devotee's heart is purified by bhakti to such an extent that he is not agitated by bahir artha, by any external objects. Right? Now this point is further explained by Srila Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that means that when someone is engaged in activities of devotional service. How many here, while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or chanting the holy name of the Lord, sometimes we fall asleep? Anyone here? We feel sleepy, or we're hearing Bhagavatam and all of a sudden our eyes go down. So here he's saying that devotees of the Lord, those who are purified by bhakti, they, because they are so attracted to the form, pastimes, beauty of the Lord, that while they are engaged in these activities, they do not become subjected to disturbance of drowsiness. Cause of sleep and agitation, actually here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that, if while chanting Hare Krishna, we are falling asleep. And, we have to admit that sometimes we sleep late, or, we are chanting and we're tired and we, little bit we fall asleep. That means what? That we don't have really a taste for the holy name of the Lord. We do not have taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. If we are hearing Bhagavad Katha and falling asleep, that means we don't really have taste for Bhagavad Katha. Right? If we are really relishing the holy name, if we are really relishing Bhagavad Katha, then while we are hearing, we are in so much bliss that there is a question of falling asleep. And hence here in this verse is actually saying, I want the association of those devotees who are actually not bewildered by external things, or who are not, who do not have that, who have that taste for Harikatha and Harikirtan. And further, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the cause of sleep and agitation, actually while chanting the holy name, are actually offenses. Like how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says after the list of 10 offenses, he says it is an offense to be also inattentive while chanting. Right? That's also an offense. So here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, while chanting Hare Krishna, if you are falling asleep, that's also offensive. Imagine you are calling someone, right? Like in this material world, a lover is calling a beloved, and while he's calling, he's falling asleep. That means that there is no love, right? There is no, that's like. So that's the point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. Even cause of sleep or agitation while we are engaging in activities of bhakti are actually offenses to Bhakti Devi. Right? Then when these offenses disappear, then Bhakti Devi is pleased, and she will actually give us a taste for hearing Harikatha, a taste for chanting the holy name. Right? So that's the point. And then further he says, Yad Bhakti Yoga Anugrehita. Anugrehita means mercy. So having been blessed by Bhakti Devi, Yad Bhakti, Anjasa Munir Vichastate Nanu Tatra Tegatim. He understands very easily, he gets a taste for the name, fame, form, activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So this is the kind of devotee, a devotee who has a taste for the name, fame, or name, form, qualities, activities of the Lord. That is the kind of devotee we want association of. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he starts off the purport with quoting that very famous verse, Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanad asu apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. What does this verse say? Satam prasanga. Right? So that association of devotees. And what kind of sangha? Prasanga. So association in bhakti. Right? That kind of association, Mama Virya Samido, which is always based on glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana. Our karna, it is almost like Rasayana. Rasayana means in Ayurveda, they actually say Rasayana means like a tonic, right? Or like a tonic, like it's a Rasayana. This is a Rasayana. So that hearing Harikatha from those devotees is a Rasayana for our ears. Right? We are hearing it, and it is actually nourishing our consciousness. Tat Joshanat Asu Apavargamati. That person Asu, very quickly he will be on the path of liberation. Shraddha, Ratir, Bhakti. So starting from Shraddha, all the way to Shraddha, Ado Shraddha Tata, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivriti, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, Prem, right? Bhakti. All the way Anukrishna, just by association of devotees, by that prasanga of devotees, he will go all the way from Shraddha, all the way to Prema. All through the association of devotees. Therefore, the desire of all of us should be when we'll have that association of the pure devotees of the Lord. And only in that association can we understand the name, form, qualities, and pastimes. If you want taste for all these activities, for the holy name, taste for Harikatha, associate with devotees who have the taste. That's the point. Right? Prabhupada also quotes, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra ko hai. Love matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi hoye. Moment's association with the Sadhu, Sarva Siddhi, all perfection can be attained. Right? And what does Sadhu Sangha mean? Right? Sometimes they say like, yeah, I was with a devotee, but together we watched FIFA World Cup. Right? Is that association? So here Prabhupada is saying, associating with devotee means engaging in Krishna consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and by acting for Krishna. Right? So when we come with devotees, we do seva together. That is devotee association. We serve, we cook for the Lord together, we do seva together, we go for book distribution together, we go for Harinam together. That is association with the devotee. Right? We sit, we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra together. That is association with the devotee. Right? And Prabhupada says, by chanting Hare Krishna, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, all the mirror of the heart is cleansed by chanting, and hence Bahir Artha. It says anything external, we lose interest in everything external. Right? Okay. And then Prabhupada also quotes a verse from the first canto, 5th chapter. This is Narad Muni Vyasdev conversation, where he says, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagwan Ivatero Yato Jagat Sthana Nirodha Sambhava Tadhi Swayam Veda Bhavam Stathapite Pradesha Matram Bhavata Pradarshitam. Right? So, what is the proof of our heart is purified? He sees the whole cosmic manifestation as non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is himself this cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. From him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and unto him it enters after annihilation. Your good self, no. Okay. So basically here, why is Prabhupada quoting this verse? That he's saying, what is the proof of someone who has taste for Harikatha, whose heart is purified? He sees everything in connection with Krishna. He sees everywhere Ishtadeva Spurti. He sees his Lord everywhere. So if you see that movie, Mahavatar Narsimha, in that movie, that scene I really like, where it says that how, Prahlad is actually crying out, "Oh Lord, it's been so long. Will you ever give darshan to me?" That's, I feel like, the most touching scene of that movie. He's on the banks of the river and he's crying out, "Lord, when will I see you? When will I see you?" And then all of a sudden he opens his eyes and the Lord is right in front of him. He said, "You asked for me and I am right here." And then what does the Prahlad ask for? "Oh Lord, everywhere I see, let me just have your darshan." And then the next part of the movie, we see Prahlad is walking everywhere. And he sees a tree, and in the tree he sees, "Oh, my Lord Narayan is right in the tree." Everywhere he sees, he can see only his Ishtadev. Right? So hence Prabhupada is quoting this verse to make the point. What is the proof our heart is purified? We will see everywhere the Lord. We will see everything in connection with the Lord. So one whose heart is purified is never attracted by anything external. He is never disturbed while he is executing devotional service. He is not disturbed by any other Bahirartha. It could be either one is not disturbed by the puja, la, pratishta, which are the byproducts which one may get while engaging this in devotional service. He is not disturbed by any of this. Right? So how can we come to this state? And hence Prabhupada says a bhakti yoga process must be carried out by avoiding 10 offenses. So while chanting Hare Krishna, we have to chant without committing offenses, and 64 offenses while worshipping the deity. When a devotee strictly follows the rules and regulations, avoiding all the offenses, then Bhakti Devi becomes very much satisfied with him. Right? And then he will no longer be disturbed by anything external. Right? So Prabhupada is making this very important point that yes, we are engaging in bhakti, but how important it is for us to actually be careful not to commit any offenses while chanting the holy name and while engaging in deity worship. Right? Like 64 items which are mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When we strictly follow that, then without committing offenses, Bhakti Devi becomes pleased. And only when Bhakti Devi becomes pleased, then we will lose attraction for this material world. Right? And then Prabhupada here in his purport also says, devotees as thoughtful as a non-devotee is speculative. Right? So basically here Prabhupada is saying that a non-devotee is always speculating. Oh, maybe this, maybe that, or this will happen, that will happen. A devotee should always be thoughtful. Should always think, oh, I am chanting, am I remembering the Lord? Am I committing any offenses right now? We should always be thoughtful. I am worshipping the Lord. Are there any offenses right now I am committing? So a devotee is always cautious not to commit any of these offenses. And by that, Bhakti Devi is very pleased. And then when she showers the mercy, then our heart is purified. Right? So 2 points Prabhupada is stressing. Our heart can be purified, we need association of devotees, and while we are engaging in devotional service, we should avoid offenses. If these 2 things we can do, then our heart will be purified, because Bhakti Devi will be very pleased with us. Okay, so this is one section. So I'll stop here. So what have we covered today? So we came after the whole section of meditation on the form, then we are discussing the glories of Bhakti and Bhakta. Right? We talked about how only through Bhakti the Lord can be seen, Bhaktya Maham Abhijanati, and what kind of Bhakti the Lord is attracted to, Ekantya Bhakti. And then we talked about how can you get Ekanta Bhakti? By the association of devotees. And we talked about the power of association, Shana Ardhe Napi. Even a half a moment of association is so powerful. And then we talked about what kind of devotees we want to associate with. Those who are completely purified by internally and externally by glorifying you, right? Those who are compassionate, those who have proper conduct, those are the devotees we want to associate. And then the last verse we discussed, how a devotee's heart is completely purified. He has taste for Harikatha, and while chanting the holy name or hearing Bhagavatam, he does not fall asleep. That is the kind of devotee we want association of. And how can we, come to that stage of purified heart? Well, 2 things. We have to associate with the devotees, and while engaging in devotional service, we should not commit offenses. Okay. So I'll stop here. Let's see, anyone has any comments, realizations, any points that you liked?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the point you said that how can we know that Krishna is reciprocating when he gives us the association of devotees who are compassionate. And I also like the point you said that our family business is to preach the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Any other points?
So many important points, Prabhuji. Beautiful section, actually. So many points, but I hear like this. The Vasudeva Datta story is very touching. We heard it before, but how compassionate devotee he is. He wants to take all the sins of entire universe, so that they all can be spiritually advanced and go back to Godhead. But he wants to suffer on their behalf. A very nice story.
Imagine that mood,
Yeah.
Like, even one person's sinful reactions will be like, we cannot even deal with our own sinful reactions. What to talk of taking someone's? And he is willing to take the entire universe, everyone's sinful reactions, just so that they can. And hence that quote of Vrindavan Das Thakur, that this is the power of a devotee of Mahaprabhu. One devotee can deliver the whole universe. Any other points?
Yeah. So real benediction will be to asking Krishna to allow us to associate with the devotees. That's the best association of devotees. And here another point, real Krishna consciousness means chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and acting for Krishna, engaging in service in the association of devotees. Beautiful points, Prabhu. There are so many.
Yeah, and particularly in the purport, Prabhupada is elaborating that yes, association of devotees, and second is engaging in devotional service, but to be always careful not to commit offenses.
Yeah, that's another question, Prabhu. The 64 offenses. If you read those offenses for worshipping, it's very hard to. Some or other offense we will do during the service, right?
That's why Prabhupada says a devotee is as thoughtful as a non-devotee is speculative. Non-devotees are continuously speculating. That's why, and on the same way, a devotee is always thoughtful. So that's the point, that while we are engaged in devotee, always be aware. Okay, what offenses? Am I committing any offenses? So always be cautious about that point. So are they hard? One way, actually, if you see, we can follow. It's not something that which is not, there are offenses of one should not go. There's so many different points that Rupa Goswami actually elaborates, but some of them are practical points, like in front of a deity, one should not circumambulate any other personality or glorify.
You cannot go down to anybody. So, but when you see Yeah, but
So
in the temple, when Maharaj comes, everybody bows down out of respect. So these kind of things, are they offense or respect? They
no, I
puzzle me.
mean, no, but see the point that Rupa Goswami, that particular point, he's saying that one should not glorify anyone else when in front of deities, right? But for us, when we glorify the Guru, we are offering obeisances to the Guru as a representative of the Lord. So that is not independent. That's not an offense. That is,
Representative of Guru. Oh,
yeah,
they God. Oh,
of the
okay,
Lord.
okay.
I mean, imagine like how we wake up in the morning. We in Mangla Aarti, what are we singing? We're saying Vande Guru Shri Charnaravind.
Charanaravinda.
How
Charanaravinda.
can that be offensive? We are Prabhupada established that we are in front of Krishna. We are saying, "Oh Krishna, I am offering obeisances to your Guru."
Yeah.
Right? But in general, other aspects are there. In Rupa Goswami actually lists all those qualities. But one read it, then we can follow those aspects. It's not something that's. And then even like the 10 offenses to the holy name, you have to be careful not to commit those offenses.
Yeah. Prabhuji, one question on that note. Bhakti Devi. Always have this question. Is she Vrinda Devi's representative, or can you please explain?
Hmm. So, who is Bhakti Devi? Actually, it is described. I mean, if you see in Bhagavad Mahatmya,
Mm.
you have read the story in Bhagavad Mahatmya?
What story, Prabhu? There are several stories, right?
No,
Bhagavad.
the story of how Bhakti Devi,
Oh,
like,
probably.
how her journey, how she goes to different places. And there's a particular story of Bhakti
Oh,
Devi there.
probably. I don't know that then.
Yeah, yeah. So, so in that story, it says like how Bhakti Devi, she's traveling from one place to another. But who is Bhakti Devi? Bhakti Devi, one way, she's a personification of bhakti or devotional service. So, like how I was referring in the Bhagavad Mahatmya, you read the story, it talks about like how Bhakti Devi, she's one personality, and then how she has two sons. What are the two sons? And it talks of Jnana Vairagya, right? How in that verse it says Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnana Vairagya, right? It says like these are two byproducts of bhakti. So it says Bhakti Devi is one who has these two energies of Jnana and Vairagya. But in general, Bhakti Devi, we can consider her as a manifestation of an energy of Srimati Radharani.
Okay.
That's how I would say Bhakti
Sure.
Devi. It's not like there is no like particular section where we see like in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Rupa Goswami is saying, "Oh, Bhakti Devi is so and so." But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how we understand that, what is Bhakti? Bhakti is a manifestation of the Haladini potency and the Samvit potency, the knowledge potency and the Ananda potency, Haladini potency. So, once we make the point that when bhakti manifests in the heart of a devotee, it is basically a manifestation of these two potencies, Haladini potency and the Samvit potency, right? So, that means that Bhakti Devi is a manifestation of those energies of. And where is Haladini potency? Who is the the presiding deity of the Haladini? Srimati Radharani. So, and then on the other side we say like for Samvit Shakti, then one may say it is Balram. But manifestation of those energies as a personified divine personality is Bhakti Devi. So one way you can say it in that way.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks.
Prabhu, actually, this problem comes because when we do the Jayatvani, many times we have seen, Bhakti Devi Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai.
Yeah. So
It's
that
mistake,
yeah.
to
Yeah. I mean, yes, certainly we pray to Vrinda Devi as one who gives bhakti to us. Right? So that's why we say Vrinda Devi Tulsi Mani, Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Pradayini, Vrinda Devi Tulsi Mani. Bhakti Pradayini. She's giving us bhakti, so we pray to her in that way. Right? But yes. I mean, bhakti, we can get bhakti from these personalities. So, yeah. Okay. Any other points from this section?
We can never be satisfied in this world without getting that taste of Harikatha and association of pure devotees. And people who don't have that experience, they try to find satisfaction in this world, but they never find it. That real happiness.
It's a powerful statement Prabhupada makes in the purport. Thank you. Any other points? Please, everyone, think of some points to share. We have
Hare
like so
Krishna
many.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Murthy. Yeah.
One practical point I like is, I know we always ask for association, but when we have it, what do we do with that association? Are we talking prajalpa or doing something? But using that association to really progress mutually is very important.
That's a very nice point. Like how Prabhupada said, like where was it in the purpose? It says real association. Yeah. Sadhusanga or association with the devotee means engaging in Krishna consciousness with that other person by chanting the holy name or hearing Harikatha or offering seva to Krishna. So that is, so I mean, devotees can get together. Yes, they are eating, honoring prasadam, but at the same time they are talking some mundane talkings, and that's why. So that's why, like the point that I mentioned earlier, that how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually says, the moments association, yes, so powerful, but beyond that moment association in bhakti, in prema, it becomes so much more powerful. Okay.
So I'm sure we have discussed this, but it's always a point that Lava Mata Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi heard. But we have unlimited examples throughout histories that it didn't really happen. Right.
Okay, like someone got an association of devotees, but did they actually attain perfection? Their journey for perfection has started. See, for how many lifetimes we are here in this material world? And so many lifetimes, same, the laws of karma are acting upon us, and then good karma, bad karma, punya, pap, and that is going on and on. Birth, death, old age, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi is going on and on. As soon as there is a moment associated with devotee, that trajectory changes. And it is only a matter of time. And that time could be maybe few lifetimes. Who knows? But out of millions of lifetimes, what is 2-3 lifetimes? Nothing. So the journey is started, and that's why it is very soon that the person will attain perfection. It may not be manifest in front of our eyes, but in front of our eyes, what do we see? We may see like 2-3 years or 10 years, but that is nothing for the journey of the soul. But just consider that soul who's hankering for Krishna, for he does not know his hankering, and suffering again and again, adhyatmic, adibodhik, adidevik, again and again and again, and one moment, and immediately. And it's like, okay, now there is a change in the soul. And it is only a matter of time when he will actually attain perfection. This is a power.
The story, what you said, Subway, in Subway,
Yeah.
the person association with Srila Prabhupada, just for one station,
One
how his
station.
journey started.
How his journey started, then he became a devotee, joined the ISKCON temple. How do you know?
So it's not about like immediate success. It's about like ultimate success, right, bro?
The trajectory changes.
Goal.
Then it's only a matter of time when perfection will be there. It may not be manifest in front of our vision, but our vision is so limited. What do we see?
Prabhu, on this we remember that story of Mukunda Datta, right? Mahaprabhu said, I will see him after 10 million births.
Yeah.
And he was jumping and said, call him. I was like, what happened? Finished off.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are we seeing that, few lifetimes is actually nothing compared to our whole existence. So, but yes, as soon as the association with devotee is there, even those like, when Srila Prabhupada was traveling all around the world, like, so many people came in contact. Even that other story of that air hostess, Shrutakirti Prabhu says, right? That famous story that how, Prabhupada was on an airplane and then the devotees were serving, Prabhupada prasad, right? And he was having the puffed rice, murmura, right? Murmura, they say. So he was just eating, and then the stewardess came, right? And then she just saw, oh, what is this? I've never seen. And imagine from Prabhupada's plate, she just took and she put it in her mouth. From Prabhupada's plate. Prabhupada was eating and she got like direct Mahaprasad from Srila Prabhupada. You know? And one may say, that is a moment's association. Right? But what happened? And then later on, after a few years, when someone was distributing a book and they knocked on the door, and the door opened, and this was somewhere in, I think, South America, if I remember correctly. They knocked on the door in a remote place in South America, and then all of a sudden they open the door and they see like photos of Krishna everywhere. It's like, how do you know in this remote corner you have photos of Krishna? And then she relates the story that, oh, I met this one person. You know, moment association with Prabhupada and how her life transformed, and now she's chanting Hare Krishna. And she didn't have any other devotees. She didn't know any other devotees. But just that moment of association, she was reading Prabhupada's book, she has Krishna photos, she was chanting the holy name. Just by getting that one moment. And see, she became devotee. Right in front of our eyes, we are seeing the story of transformation. Imagine, right? How powerful. So that's why the whole Bhagavatam, again and again, we are just praying to have that moment association with the devotee, pure devotee of Krishna. Okay. Any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a reflection. I was just thinking, Lord Shiva is asking for the association of such devotees. I was thinking of his mood, like he's a Lord himself, and then so many people worship him, and he's not like some demigod, but his mood is like he's asking for the association of such devotees, like he's actually glorifying them, like what qualities do they have. So I'm just thinking is I'm just thinking like how down to earth he is.
I mean, like, even in the, like how Chaitanya Charitamrita actually makes the point that even if someone has attained perfection in bhakti, he still always aspires for association with devotees. Still, sadhu sangha is actually so important for him. You know, initially, sadhu sangha is basically we are surviving in Krishna consciousness because of sadhu sangha. And as we progress in bhakti, then sadhu sangha, like we aspire for sadhu sangha so that we can relish Hari Katha with devotees. So even Lord Shiva, who is the topmost devotee, he is saying this prayer to aspire for having the association of devotees, because only in association of devotees can you really relish Krishna's name, qualities, pastimes, etc. Right? So it is sadhu sangha and bhakti cannot be separated. Bhakti is manifested in the association of devotees.
It's not like one can be by themselves and chanting Hare Krishna and then think like they can actually progress so much. It's also the association.
That is Prabhupada's mood. That, Prabhupada actually says, like, some people say, I'll go to the Himalayas and chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada actually just said, that is just, what qualification we have to go to the Himalayas and chant Hare Krishna. Just be here wherever you are, but be in the association of devotees. That is our only help.
Probably on that note, beautiful example is Bharat Maharaj.
Bharat Maharaj, yes, very nice. Fifth canto will read how Bharat Maharaj, he reached the stage of Bhav. And even at the stage of Bhav, he got deviated from a point. Why? Because he didn't have association of devotees. He got attracted to a doe, and then he started, whole day thinking of, where is this doe? How can I feed the doe? And then he forgot. He stopped engaging in his activities of sadhana. And then he died thinking of the doe, and the next life became a doe. Even at the stage of bhav, which is just before prema, the first ray of prema is already bhav. He reached that stage, and still, because he didn't have a devotee association, he fell from that stage. Right? So all our bhakti starts with sadhu sangha, bhakti progresses with sadhu sangha, and we attain perfection, and we are still always one sadhu sangha. So association of devotees is the key of our progress. Like Satam Prasanga Mama Virya Samidam. Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishe. Anukramishe means progressively from Shraddha all the way to Rati, all the way to Bhakti. Only through Sadhu Sangha. Okay.
Prabhu. Can I ask a question? I know we are getting late. I'll just be quick, or maybe you can answer me offline. There was one quality, like the devotee who's always absorbed in the lotus feet of Krishna. So how one does that? I've read this in other places as well, and then this being mentioned multiple times in other places as well. But how one can get absorbed in lotus feet? Like, do you imagine, or like what
Yeah.
was the meaning of it?
So in one of the purports earlier, we read, Prabhupada said, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord is actually being absorbed in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. You know, so see, yes, smarana is an aspect of bhakti, but the smaranam will actually come when we have sufficiently done shravanam and kirtanam. So for us, meditation on the lotus feet, we have to hear a lot, keep hearing, hear about Krishna, chant the name of Krishna, chant the glories of Krishna. And when we do that sufficiently, then smarana will come. Smarana Dasha, how Nectar of Instruction, text number 8, Prabhupada says, when first is Shravana Dasha, then is Varana Dasha, when we are accepting that, and then comes Smarana Dasha. And then he talks of remembrance in different stages. Right? One, we have to sufficiently absorb. So one way for us, actually for us, is the holy name. See, two things are there: holy name and Krishna Katha, Bhagavatam. These are two. And if we are absorbed in these, chanting the holy name full absorption, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam with full absorption, then it is non-different from meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. And then later on, when we progress, then when we have sufficiently heard and chanted, then that smaranam will come, where we can actually not imagine, but we see the lotus feet of Radha Golokananda and that impression, and we are just like during the day always thinking of the beauty of the lotus feet. It will naturally come as smaranam. Okay, so let's see, 8:44, right? So
Prabhuji, is the Varanadasa is same as Maranam? No.
No.
Mananam. Varana or Mananam are the same. Shravanam, Mananam, Smaranam, or Shravan? What is the difference between Varanadasa and
So how Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Instruction, if you see text number 8, purport, right? Prabhupada actually explains Varana Dasha. So first he says is Shravana Dasha,
yeah.
right? So that means that we have to hear constantly. Keep hearing the Harinam, keep hearing Harikatha, right? And that will bring us to the stage of Varana Dasha, which he actually says stage of acceptance. Which means that we are hearing, but it's no longer that we are hearing and like, okay, Krishna is this. We'll actually accept, oh, this is the glory of Krishna. That the Hari Katha that we are hearing, or when we are chanting the holy name, we'll be like, oh, I am chanting the name of Krishna, that supreme person. So that acceptance of the personality of God and the glories of the Lord will actually come. Now it is like, yes, we are Krishna is so beautiful, and we are hearing, and yes, we feel some, but at that moment we directly connect that yes, Krishna, that personality, he is so beautiful. I'm calling out his name. That is Varana. And Prabhupada says when one is at the stage of Varana Dasha, he actually becomes attached to hearing about Krishna. That is the proof that we are at the stage of Varana. We become attached. We cannot stop hearing about Krishna. Right? Then after that, he actually talks of Smarana. And then in Smarana, he talks of 5 different stages where it goes from uninterrupted. No, sorry. First, it talks of interrupted, right? That means you're thinking and then you lose that Smarana. And then you come back again, right? So it is like you're recollecting again and again. Then it goes to deeper states of absorption where it becomes more constant remembrance. And then finally it comes to where we are completely absorbed in that samadhi of smarana. Right? And so
Thank you, Prabhu.
okay, so let's take a 5 minutes break and then we'll continue with this next section, which is text 60 to 66. And that's basically the last part. And then we have the Falshruti, right? What is the benefit of studying this Rudra Gita? Okay, so let's take 5 minutes break and come back and then we'll continue. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare
Okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we'll continue. So one way the section that we read is like the sweetest part of, yeah, it was a very sweet part of Bhagavatam where we talked of glories of devotion and devotee. Now, if you see how Bhagavad Gita is, we are reading Rudra Gita, right? So, if you see how Bhagavad Gita is, that section which talks of bhakti, the 9th chapter, like from 7 all the way to 12, is actually the center of Bhagavad Gita. And then after that, then Krishna talks of how Gyan Yoga leads to bhakti. One way, similarly, we see in Rudra Gita that after this section, the next section is where Lord Shiva talks of the relationship, or actually one way the Lord Shiva talks of Brahman, Paramatma, the universal form. What has all this got to do with the form of the Lord? And this is like the last section of Rudra Gita. So one way how even in Bhagavad Gita, the most confusing section is in center. So even here in Rudra Gita, the most confusing section is in the center of the text. Right? So now we'll see in text number 60 onwards, where he'll talk of the impersonal Brahman, and he actually established how the impersonal Brahman is nothing but the effulgence of the Lord. It is actually just a manifestation of you, O Lord. Right? Text 60.
Yatredam vyajate vishvam vishvasmin avabhati yat tattvam brahma param jyotir akasham eva vishtritam.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, the impersonal Brahman spreads anywhere, everywhere, like the sunshine or the sky, and that impersonal Brahman which spreads throughout the universe and in which the entire universe is manifested is you. Hare Krishna.
So basically here he's saying that some people, like up to this point, he talks of devotional service, meditating on the personal form. He says, Yatra idham vyajate. Right? Vishwam, Vishwa, Vivasmin. Right? This is actually saying the entire universe is manifested, right? Is manifested in Brahma Param, in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. And in Yat Tattvam. Right? So this is the most important part of it. Yat Tattvam. And that Brahman is Tattvam. Tvam means the Lord Himself. That Brahman is you. Right? That Brahman. And then the last part is Jyoti, Akasham, Eva. Eva, whenever we see Eva means we are seeing some comparison. So Eva, just like how the sunshine is all pervading, right, in the sky and all over, similarly it is you, O Lord, who's manifested as the Brahman which is pervading the entire universe. Right? So that's the point. So Prabhupada in the purport explains that how in the Vedic scripture it says Sarva Kalva Idam Brahma. This is a Vedic aphorism. That means what? That Sarva Kalva Idam Brahma. So everywhere is what? The Brahman. The whole cosmic manifestation, every material, material planet rests in this Brahma Jyoti. Right? And then further Prabhupada actually says the impersonals cannot understand how this entire Brahma Jyoti is actually an energy of the Lord. They cannot. Why? Because there is no bhakti. It's only through bhakti can one actually understand the personal form of the Lord. And actually to that point, even to understand Brahma Jyoti, there has to be a tinge of bhakti in their process of, let's say, Jnana Yoga. That even Jnana Yoga, there has to be some bhakti for them to even appreciate Brahma Jyoti. And to actually appreciate the personal form, then it has to be Ekanta Bhakti. Right? So that's what Lord Shiva himself is confirming, that how in impersonal Brahma Jyoti is the Supreme Lord himself. Right? And then Prabhupada actually he quotes here 9.4 Right? 9.4 and 5 of Bhagavad Gita actually says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina mastani sarvabhutani na chaham tesva avastita. By me, in my unmanifested form, entire universe is pervaded. Imagine Krishna standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is saying, by me, I am standing here, by my unmanifested form. So there's another form of Krishna which is unmanifested, which is at the Brahma Jyoti. And through that, entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So all beings are actually within Krishna. There's nothing outside of Krishna. But it's not that Krishna is within all the beings. Right? So, so Prabhupada quotes this to actually explain how the Brahma Jyoti is spread everywhere, just like the sunshine is spread everywhere. And Prabhupada makes another point, that even though the sun may shine on a contaminated place, does the sunshine ever get contaminated? So how the example is given that even when sun shines on some dirty water, it actually purifies the water, but the sunshine is never contaminated. Similarly, the Lord is never contaminated. His Brahma Jyoti is spread all over, even through the material universe, but he is always aloof and uncontaminated. And then Prabhupada also quotes Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdete. That the non-dual existence of the Lord is based on the process that a person takes, is realized as Brahman, as Paramatma, and as Bhagavan. Prabhupada gives another example here. He says that how, a businessman, he may have like so many factories. Okay, one factory in Hillsborough, one factory in Cary, one factory here, one factory there. And he is the cause of all these factories. And any factory you go, even though he may not be personally present, but you can see that because he's created everything, his laws, his rules, his presence can be experienced. Similarly, the Lord is aloof, right? Goloka eva nivisati akhilatma bhuto. He is there in Goloka Vrindavan. But through his energies, he is manifest through this entire world. And how can we experience the Lord through his energies? And then Prabhupada quotes 7.8. Rasoham apsukonte. You drink water and say, oh, Krishna is the taste of water. Right? Is this original Krishna? Well, original Krishna is there. We are thinking of the original Krishna, but because the Brahman, the energies of the Lord are all pervasive, so through the energies we can always connect to that original personality. Okay? So first point in text 60 is how Brahman is, which is all pervading, is nothing but an aspect of the Lord. 61.
Yo mayayedham pururupaya shujad bibharti bhuya kshapayat yavikriyaha vedha buddhi sarivatma dushtaya tvam atma tantram bhagavan pratimahi. I think Mohananand Prabhu Lavanga Manjari Mataji. You haven't read yet, so if you want to, you can.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji. My dear Lord, you have manifold energies, and these energies are manifested in manifold forms. With such energies, you have also created this cosmic manifestation, and although you maintain it as if it were permanent, you ultimately annihilate it. Although you are never disturbed by such changes and alterations, the living entities are disturbed by them, and therefore they find the cosmic manifestation to be different or separated from you. My Lord, you are always independent, and I can clearly see this fact. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. So basically here, so having made the point that it is the Lord's energy Brahman which is all pervasive, further is actually saying, Ya Maya ya Puru Rupaya, that uses your form, right? By you, this entire, by your energy, this entire Maya, this entire material world is, and then he talks of Astrajat, Bibharti, Shapayanti. That means what? Asura means created, maintained, annihilated. Oh Lord, it is through your energies that this creation, maintenance, and annihilation takes place. Right? And then avikriya. So this word is very important. Avikriya means even though it is through your energies, creation, maintenance, annihilation happen, still you are not altered by that energy. But further, next part of the verse says, avikriya without then, Veda Buddhi. And then who is that? Eva Atma Dushtaya. So basically he says, but living entities like us, we have Veda Buddhi. Veda Buddhi means the intelligence of differentiation. That we actually see this entire world as different from the Lord. Though it is only the energy of the Lord that's creating, maintaining, and annihilating, but we, because we are conditioned, we see a difference between the material world and the Lord. And hence we are what? Atma Dushtaya. We are disturbed by, it is very hot now, and you feel like, so much heat, And then there's extreme cold. So cold. We are experiencing all these ups and downs. Why? Because we are seeing everything without its connection to the Lord. So even the Lord is manifesting everything. He is avikriya. But because we have that Bheda Drishti, we are actually making a difference. And because of seeing everything differently, we actually suffer. Atma Dushtaya. Right? Then the last part is Atma Tantram Bhagwan Pratima. I pray that, the Lord, you are fully self-independent, and let me actually realize how you are, even though creating everything, how you are aloof. That's the prayer. Right? That's the prayer, that even though the Lord is manifested everywhere, how can we actually realize that Lord, that even though He's manifested everywhere, He's still aloof and self-independent. Right? Atma Tantram. So Prabhupada explains this in purport. He says Krishna has so many different energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaya Shruyate. Right? Parasya Shaktir. How many Shaktis does Krishna have? Unlimited. But they can be divided into three. There's an external, internal, marginal. Right? Then they can be divided into two in terms of the material world, spiritual world. They can be divided into, again, two kinds of, even the living entities, which are marginal potency, they can be further divided into two. What is that? One is conditioned and one is liberated. So either Nitya Mukta or Nitya Baddha. Right? So when does a Jiva become Nitya Baddha? Right? When he actually thinks, sees duality, sees something in separation from Krishna, that is Nitya Baddha. Then Prabhupada quotes this verse from CC Madhya 21:17. Krishna bhuli se jiva anadi bahirmukha ateva maya tare deya samsara dukha. That's exactly the point. You see how Prabhupada, he found the exact verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita that explains the point of this verse. So beautiful. Like, how can you find this exact reference and see how Prabhupada has given like perfect connection? Krishna bhuli se jiva. That's this verse saying, when we forget Krishna, then what happens? The jiva anadi bahimuk. From when? Anadi time, Krishna and the living entity turned away from Krishna. Then ateva maya tare deya samsara dukkha. From as soon as the living entity turns away from Krishna, he is subjected to the influence of Maya. And because of that, what happens? Samsara dukkha. We experience suffering in this world. So the root cause of suffering in this material world is what?
Turning away from Krishna.
Turning away from Krishna. Krishna bhuli se jiva. We forget Krishna, and because of that, we see this entire material world, we experience so much suffering. Right? So Prabhupada has given the perfect quote from CC to actually explain this verse here. And then further Prabhupada says, right, he also gives the example like how for the Lord, from the Lord's perspective, is there a difference between material and superior spiritual energy? From the Lord's perspective, they both are energies of the Lord. And Prabhupada gives the example that from a government perspective, whether it is the education department or the criminal department, Both of them are departments of the Lord. Both of them are under the control of the Lord. Both of them are financed by the government. So similarly, from Krishna's point of view, whether it's material or spiritual, both are actually his energies. It is only when we make a difference that when we are subjected to suffering. But then further Prabhupada actually makes a point, but a Vaishnava is one who is in full knowledge. He does not see a difference. He knows how to use everything material in service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not see a difference. Right? Like in one of the classes, Prabhupada was actually saying that we are using this microphone amplifier. Right? And because this microphone amplifier is used to glorify Krishna Katha, it is spiritual. So a devotee sees everything that can be used in Krishna service. He sees everything as something that can be used in Krishna service. And therefore he does not see Bheda. He does not see that differentiation. He sees how everything can be connected to Krishna. And because a devotee can see like that, therefore there is no samsara dukkha for a devotee. Okay? So one way in this verse, Prabhupada, Lord Shiva has given their connection between the Lord, his Maya, and the Jiva. All three are actually explained in this verse. Is it okay? Making sense? Verse makes sense? Yes? No?
So we see it as connected, but also see the difference of both. Like we see the difference between the two, but also.
No, but in this verse is saying when we see the difference, that means we are in Maya. And because of that, we are suffering. But when we see everything in connection with Krishna, then there is no Bheda Drishti. And that's why Prabhupada said, a Vaishnava is one who can actually, like Prabhupada said, Lord Shiva or any other pure devotee can see this clearly without being blinded by Bheda Buddhi or differentiation. So devotee does not see. He sees everything in connection to Krishna. That is the vision of a devotee. So Prabhupada concludes and says, for a devotee, there is nothing material. Material existence means forgetfulness of Krishna. That's it. Otherwise, for a devotee, what is material? Wherever he is just glorifying Krishna. He's using everything in Krishna's service. So there's nothing material for a devotee. A devotee may have like millions of dollars, but he's not seeing that, oh, I have millions. He's seeing, oh, so much money, let me use that in Krishna's service. Krishna has given me this, let me use it in service. So he doesn't see that Bheda. As soon as you see the Bheda, then you say, oh, this is my money. Then naturally there will be a tendency to enjoy that money.
Yeah. In the beginning of our sadhana bhakti, like we just like are trained to see, okay, this is not favorable for my devotional service because it's so we have to see differentiation also, but as we advance, we see everything is connected to Krishna.
Yeah. So see, our process is we want to come to a point where we see every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna. So yes, in the process, we make differentiation in the terms of our association with those elements, not the elements or the personality himself. We may associate with a particular thing, and we may say, right now, when I spend time on whatever, YouTube shorts, it is distracting. So let me cut that association. So we are changing our association, but finally we want to come to a point that, oh, everything that is there is actually connected to Krishna. Even there is technology, okay, yes, technology, how can you use technology in Krishna's service? We are not rejecting anything, but you're seeing everything. So that is a goal. There may be someone who's sinful, and we may say, oh, I should not associate with that person because he'll pull me away from Krishna. He's atheistic. And we may break that association. But that association is one point. But that person, gradually we want to come and see that person, even though right now he may have some negative, atheistic views, but he's also a part and parcel of Krishna. We want to come to that stage. So that is the journey. And that's what in this verse, Lord Shiva is saying, that it is only that Beda Buddhi that's the cause of our suffering. But you want to see everything in connection to Krishna. That's a Vaishnava. That is Lord Shiva. Okay. Next verse, 62.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
when in our Chintamani, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu was noted, he listed like some. So one of the aspects he was saying, so for bhaktas, ocean's like a drop of water, sun is like a firefly, Meru Parvat is like a mud pile, king is like a small servant, Chintamani is any pebble, Kalpavriksha is wood, is mere wood, and samsara is a trinarashi, like a speck of dust. So you see, and also Prabhu in Bhagavad Gita we have he does not see any difference between a gemstone or a stone. We have that. So I mean, at that time also, Prabhu, during Bhakti Shastri classes also I'm sure you have also discussed this, that how. But it is also important to have a discrimination. Mukundatta Prabhu was explaining, we have to be very clear of our discrimination. Like, so more we grow up in bhakti, should we forget discrimination, or should I say that I have stopped discriminating because I have advanced? Is it a proper understanding?
As we
Like
progress,
Kanishtarikari, Madhyamadikari, that may help Prabhu, like depending on the level of their bhakti. But we need to discriminate, but at the same time, in the progress of, I mean, just a thought. Actually.
yeah. So, see, the point is, as we progress in bhakti, our differentiation of see, there's one point of association, right? That our connection with a particular thing, right? And there may be in our conditioned state, we have certain things that are not favorable, so we want to not associate. But as we progress in bhakti, then we'll see everything in connection with Krishna. What is outside of Krishna? There's nothing outside of Krishna. Everything is actually Krishna. Hence, we want to use everything in Krishna. Everything we want to use in Krishna. Every person we want to see, how can I connect that person to Krishna? That becomes a vision of a devotee. Right? So as we progress in bhakti, and that's basically if you come to what Mata is saying, an Uttam Adhikari. An Uttam Adhikari, he sees everyone as devotees of Krishna. He doesn't even make a difference. Because he says like, oh, even this person, oh, he's serving Krishna so nicely. I myself, I am not a devotee, but everyone, he sees the whole world as devotee. Therefore, Uttam cannot preach. Because everyone is devotee for him. Therefore, he comes down to a level of Madhyam to actually differentiate so that he can preach. But as we progress from Kanishta, even Kanishta, what's the definition of Kanishta? It actually says Archayam cha hare. He basically says that, he says, Krishna is in a deity form. But he doesn't give respect to devotees. That he is differentiating. Madhyam, then yes, there is differentiation, but in a perfect way. That this is the Lord, right? This is the devotee of the Lord. Let me make friendship. This is someone who is innocent jiva. Let me give him some, Krishna consciousness. And those who are dvesha, then he says, I'll maintain some distance. So that's proper differentiation. But higher Uttam, he does not even differentiate. So everyone is a devotee. That's all. Right? So that's why here in purport Prabhupada is saying, the Bheda Drishti is the cause of our suffering in this world. But as we are progressing, then we'll see everything in connection with Krishna.
Prabhuji, I want to add in this aspect how our dealings are. So we respect everyone because they are part of Krishna, but we don't associate with everyone. We associate with some people, but we don't reveal our heart. We associate with only few with whom we can reveal our heart, but we surrender to only one the Guru Tattva. I think Amren Prabhuji explained this, how our dealings are with different living entities.
So at the level of Madhyam, we can see those four categories, right? The discrimination. But as we point is, as we progress, then the Bheda Drishti is actually cleared out.
So at this, I think this question is this thing is all about how to use matter, like not bhaktas or this topic is to discriminate that this matter is for my sense enjoyment and not for Krishna's service. That is this point of this. So it is easy, Prabhu, when we have devotees to deal with this. Like we have clear instructions, object of instruction clearly defines. But in the concern of matter, which is that's why I remembered Gautam Darshan Prabhu's mentions of like, it's very, very difficult, bro, how to differentiate and where to stop to figure out that it is not becoming Krishna's enjoyment and rather now becoming my enjoyment,
Yeah.
So when it is matter, it is difficult.
So matter, then Yukta Vairagya principle.
Yeah, Yukta Vairagya.
Yukta Vairagya principle. Right? So how Rupa Goswami says, Anasaktasya Vishan Yatharam Uparunjate Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. Actually, and then what is Falgu Vairagya? Prapanchikta Tya Bhakta Hari Sambandhi Vastuna. So everything is connected. Hari Sambandha. The Sambandha is there of everything has Sambandha with Krishna. But if we are, everything can be used in Krishna service, but if you are denying that, oh no, I'm not going to use that, even though that can be used in Krishna service, that's Falgu Vairagya. So we see like as we progress in bhakti, we'll become more and more expert at using technology in Krishna service. So right now there may be certain things that, this technology is distracting. As we progress, we'll be like, okay, technology is there. How can I use that for preaching Krishna consciousness? The same thing. And that's a sign of progress. Okay, so let's continue. Next to 63. We have, 62. We have a few more verses. Let's try to complete that. It's still 67. 68. Yeah.
Text 62. Kriya kalaparidameva yogina shradhan vita sadhu yajanti siddhaye bhutendriyanta karanopalakshitam vede chatantre chata eva kovida.
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, your universal form consists of all five elements: the senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, which is material, and the Paramatma, your partial expansion, who is the director of everything. Yogis, other than the devotees, namely the Karma Yogi and Gnana Yogi, worship you by their respective actions in their respective positions. It is stated both in the Vedas and in the Shastras that are corollaries of Vedas and intended everywhere, indeed everywhere. That is the only you who are to be worshipped. That is the expert version of all the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
So basically here he's talking about, so in 61 in 60 he talked of Brahman. In 61 he talked about how because of Bheda Drishti we see things separate from Krishna. But actually everything, your energies are creating, maintaining, annihilating, but actually one who is advanced would actually see that how your energies are working everywhere and yet you are independent. That's the prayer. Now in 62 he actually talks about, he says Kriya Kalapaya. So Kriya means through Karma Yoga, Kalapaya means through Jnana Yoga or Astanga Yoga. He says so those who practice Karma Yoga and those who practice Jnana Yoga, Yoginaha, translated Shraddha Anvita, they are worshipping the Lord with Shraddha, with some faith, with some conviction. Sadhu Yajanti Siddhe, they worship this form properly for perfection. right? Which form? And then further it says Bhuta, Indriya, Antakarana, right? And then Paramatma. So basically he's saying that the karmis, they worship what? Bhuta, Indriya. Bhuta means material energy, senses, heart, mind, intelligence, false ego, 5 elements. They worship the universal form, right? How many times till now in Bhagavatam have we studied the universal form? So many times it keeps coming again and again and again. So especially in the second and third canto, right? So he's saying those who, and in the second canto, if you see what is the title, what is the chapter title of first chapter of second canto? Who remembers? Second canto, first chapter. What is the title? It's important. It describes of the universal
God realization.
first step in God realization, right? First step in God. And what does the chapter talk about? Universal form. So the karmis, they may worship the universal form. That's the point that's said. The jnanis, they will worship the Paramatma, or the Astanga yogis, they'll worship the Paramatma in the heart. But then further it says, Upalakshitam Vedecha Tantre. It is stated both in the Vedas and the Tantra, or the corollaries of the Vedas, Te eva kovida. It is only you who are to be worshipped. The karmis will worship the universal form. The jnanis will worship the Paramatma. But finally, it is only you who are to be worshipped. This is established in all the Vedas and the corollaries. You understand the meaning of this verse? Right? Finally, it is only you to. Though they may worship, different transcendentalists may worship you in different forms, but finally, it is only you to be worshipped. Right? So Prabhupada this again refers to the section that I just referred, second canto, first chapter, first step in God realization. And then if you see the first 3 chapters, finally he talks of like demigod worship, he talks of Paramatma, he talks about a universal form, and how does he conclude? Which is the key verse in second canto in the first 3 chapters, akama sarvokama va moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena. And it says like of all the Vedas, final conclusion is engage in tivra bhakti. That's the point. Engage in tivra bhakti. So jnanis, they aspire for moksha. Karmis here, so Prabhupada explains. Akama sarvokama. Sarvokama means unlimited desires. Right? That's karmis. Akama actually means devotees. Moksha kama means those who are like jnanis. All of them, their only process which is recommended is Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. That is exactly the point which is mentioned in this verse. So if you see Prabhupada's in purport, his references are so perfect to explain the shloka. So perfect. This is the exact verse which can really explain the verse, the point that is actually said in this verse. Okay. And then Prabhupada also elaborates from Bhagavad Gita that those who worship a devata, yepe anya devata bhaktya yante shraddhayanta tepi mam eva konteya yanti avidhi purvakam. Those who are worshiping demigods, they are doing avidhi purvakam. They are not, they are not doing properly according to the rules and regulations. Because if someone properly worships, they will worship actually Krishna, Vishnu. Right? And then Prabhupada also quotes how through varnashrama charavata purushena parapuma vishnur aradhya panta nanya tattoshakam. That even all the duties of varnashram, what is the purpose? Vishnur aradhate, to worship Vishnu. Okay, so that is 62. I hope you are understanding these verses here, right? So next verse, 63. Let's see what they say. Everyone okay? 60, 61, 62, 3 verses. Okay, 63.
63. Tvam eka adya purusha supta shaktis taya raja sattvatamo vibhidyate mahanaham kam marud agnivardhara surashayo bhuta gana idam yataha. Divyani Telera Mataji.
My dear Lord, you are the only Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. Before the creation of this material world, your material energy remains in a dormant condition. When your material energy is agitated, the 3 qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, act. And as a result of total material energy, egotism, ether, air, fire, water, earth, and all the various demigods and saintly persons become manifest. And thus the material world is created.
So here it starts Tvam Eka Adya, that you are that original personality who is manifesting as what? Purusha. That, so we have come to our favorite section of Bhagavatam, right? That chart of like how Mahavishnu, he is lying on the Karna ocean and he's glancing over, right? So now Lord Shiva is saying, Tvam Eka Adya, that you are that original Mahavishnu. And Supta Shakti means what? Swapna. What does Swapna mean? Dream. Shakti is energy. So it is you who is lying down or sleeping on Karana ocean, Karana ocean, and by your glance, what happens? What happens by Krishna's glance? That Pradhan, which gets us agitated as Mahat Tattva because of this word says Rajaha Sattva Tamaha. Because of Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun. Vibhi Deyate. And because of that, all the diversions actually come. Like what? Mahan, Aham, Khamma, right? So that means egotism, sky, fire, air, water, demigods. So everyone remembers this chart 2.5 and 3.5. So basically, this is a verse that's saying that actually it is you who are glancing because of this entire cycle is taking place. Right? So Prabhupada in the purpose starts very interestingly. If the whole creation is one, it is created by that Supreme Lord. Why do expert translators make categories? Like differentiation between ether, air, fire, water, etc., etc. Right? Lord Shiva is actually making the point that spirit and matter are not creations of various philosophers, but are all manifested by Lord Vishnu. So this is related to the point what we talked of Bheda Drishti. Right? Actually, there are no such distinctions for living entities who are eternally engaged in service of the Lord. Same point which we discussed. Those who are pure devotees, they don't see a difference. They see everything in connection with the Lord. Right? So the same point we just discussed is repeated here. Right? But it is only those who are actually separate from the Lord, they make distinctions and they want to imitate the Lord. Why? Because they have Krishna Bhuli Se Jeva. Because they have forgotten Krishna. Because they have forgetfulness of Krishna, they want to imitate Krishna, just like a child may imitate a mother cooking. Right? They have this toy kitchen. Right? They may imitate. Similar, Jiva is trying to imitate the Lord. Right? So, and all this is because of that Bheda Drishti. Then, the original God. So, Prabhupada in his purport, he quotes different verses to how point out that the Sarva Karana Karanam is who? Govinda. So, hence, Lord Shiva is saying that you are the original cause of everything. You are that Mahavishnu. Janmadya Yasya Yataha. You are the source of everything. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. That you yourself are claiming that you are the source of the material and the spiritual world. Right? So, Aham Evasam Evagre. That even in the before this material creation, it was I only who existed. So many quotes Prabhupada is giving. Eko Narayana Asit. Before the creation, only Narayan was there. Narayana Paravyakta. Shankaracharya himself said how Narayan is beyond this creation. So, finally, there is only Eka. It is only Narayan. And that is you, O Lord. And that's what Lord Shiva is saying. Okay, 64.
Shishtam swashaktedham anupravishtas chaturvidham puram atmashakina atho vidustam purusham santamantar bhukte rishikar madhusaragham yaha.
Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, after creating by your own potencies, you enter within the creation in 4 kinds of forms. Being within the hearts of the living entities, you know them and know how they are enjoying their senses. The so called happiness of this material creation is exactly like the bees' enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb.
So here it says Shishtam Swasakte Idam. So in this creation, the Lord, we already explained, through his glance, he's actually making the pradhan into Mahatattva, and the modes are getting agitated. So when the Lord enters, it is the Lord who manifests himself in Chatuvidam. What is Chatuvidam? The four kinds of living entities. Right? So here it actually explained that the four kinds of living entities are Jarayuja, Andaja, Shvedaja, and Udbija. Right? So if you remember these four, there are only four kinds of living entities. What is this? Jarayuja. That means those who are born from an embryo, like us. Right? Jarayuja. Then Andaja, born of eggs, like birds. There's the other kind of living entities. Then Shvedaja, born from perspiration. And then Udbija, which are born from seeds, like trees. Right? So it is saying, oh Lord, it is you yourself, through your energies, are manifesting in these four different types of living entities. Yeah, so Prabhupada further in the purport, he makes a point. Yeah, and then further, okay, so that's the first point. Then second, he says, Ataha, therefore, Vidu Purusham Shantam Bhunkte Rishikesha Madhu Saharagam. Right? He says, and you know how these four living entities are actually enjoying in this material world. They are so-called Bhunkte, so-called enjoyment is like what? Madhu Saragam. What is so special about a bee having honey? Bee collects the pollen from different flowers and makes honey. When bee wants to enjoy that honey, what happens? When the bee goes to enjoy the honey, the other bees come and bite this bee. But still, because it wants to enjoy, it's getting bitten, but still it's trying to enjoy. And here, the verse Lord Shiva is saying that the living entities in this material world who are trying to enjoy this energy of the Lord is just like those bees, that even though they are subjected to so much suffering in this world, they still think, oh, now I can enjoy, now I can enjoy, now I can enjoy. And they just keep going on and on. But it's just like the bees who are trying to enjoy the honey, but keep getting stung by the other bees. Right? So their so-called enjoyment is exactly like the bees' enjoyment for honey. So Lord, it is you, through your potencies, you are manifested as these four living entities. And when these, you know how this living entities, when they try to enjoy, they are going through so much suffering in this material world. So Prabhupada actually explains here how the dull matter cannot act on its own. It is only when the Lord glances over the dull matter, then the creation starts. Right? And then further Prabhupada says that how the four kinds of living entities, right? 8.4 million species, but they are all divided into these four categories, right? And for each one of these living entities, finally it is the Lord who gives Vedesya Sarver Aham Eva Vedya Vedanta Krit Veda Videvacha. Okay, what's the first? Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto Mata Smitir Jnanam Aponam Cha. 8.4 million species, but who is giving remembrance and forgetfulness to all the living entities? It is only you, O Lord. Imagine 8.4 million species of life. And it is the Lord who gives remembrance and forgetfulness to every living entity. And He does that through His own energies. Right? So Prabhupada here in his purport talks about how does the Lord give remembrance and forgiveness? Through the Paramatma feature. Right? Paramatma feature. Right? So Paramatma, his role is Upadrishta Anumanta. Right? Upadrishta Anumanta. So material enjoyment means inebriety. You want to enjoy the honey, but you will get stung. Spiritual enjoyment means pure honey. There is no stinging of anything. Okay, 65. Let's see the time. Okay, let's just read 65.
Sa esha lokan atichanda vego vikarshasitam khalu kalayanaha bhutani bhutaranumeya tattvo ghanavalir vayur iva vishayah. Vrindavan Vilasi Mataji.
My dear Lord, your absolute authority cannot be directly experienced, but one can guess by seeing the activities of the world that everything is being destroyed in due course of time. The force of time is very strong, and everything is being destroyed by something else, just as one animal is being eaten by another animal. Time scatters everything exactly as the wind scatters clouds in the sky. Hare Krishna.
So basically here it says, Esha Lokan Ati Chanda Vega. Chanda Vega means a great force. Destroy Vikarsasi. That, oh Lord, Tvam, oh Lord, you are actually destroying all these planetary systems. How? Kalayana. Through your time energy. So even the time energy which causes the destruction of this material world, Lord, that is your energy. Then further he says, Bhutani Bhute Anumeya Tattva, right? Ganavali. This force of time is so strong that it destroys everyone. Just like when strong wind blows, the clouds are all scattered everywhere. Similarly, your force of the time, which is you, Kalosmi, you are that time. Through the time, you are destroying everyone. So that's this verse. So in the form of time, you drag the jivas along with the covering from one place to another. You agitate the places of enjoyment. You destroy one entity by another. So this process of destruction is constantly going on. And this is when we see how the energies of the Lord are actually acting, then you know that means my Lord is present. So we can experience the Lord in our day-to-day life through the energies of the Lord. So Prabhupada here explains, he says, the scientists are trying to manufacture living entities. Everyone is busy denying the existence of the Lord, but they don't see that finally it is the Lord's energies that are functioning around us. What is the force of gravity? Who created it? Whose energy is that? You take a thing, it falls down. Whose energy is acting? It is Krishna's energy. It is Krishna's energy. When people are dying, leaving their body, whose energy is working? The time energy. That's also Krishna's energy. So we can feel the presence of Lord through the Lord's energies. And particularly this verse is focusing on the Lord's energy of destruction as time factor. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. Lord says, I am the time factor that destroys everyone. Okay, one last verse we'll do. And then stop.
Text 66. Pramatamuchariti kritya chintaya pravridhalobham vishayeshu lalasam tvam apramata sahasabhipadyase kshul le lihano hir iva kum antakaha.
Translation: My dear Lord, all living entities within this material world are mad after planning for things, and they are always busy with the desire to do this or that. This is due to uncontrollable greed. The greed for material enjoyment is always existing in the living entity, but your Lordship is always alert, and in due course of time you strike him, just as a snake seizes a mouse and very easily swallows him. Hare Krishna.
So basically here, it starts with Pramatam Ucche. Pramatam means those who are mad. Who are mad? Chintaya Pravarda. So those who are Lobham, right? Lobham Vishayeshu. Those who are greedy for material enjoyment. They are like madmen because they have unlimited desire. Even though the desires are never fulfilled, never satisfied, still they are mad and they are loudly saying, I want this, I want this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And they keep going on and on and on. But Tvam, your Lordship, apramata. You are not like these living entities. You are completely in transcendence. And for these, how does the Lord treat these living entities? Just like the example is given, that lihanaha. Just like ahi means a snake. A mouse is enjoying, oh, I have this nice cheese, and it's like eating nice cheese and saying, oh, my Mrs. Mouse is here, right? Enjoying nice cheese, and then all of a sudden, a hungry snake will come, that's over. Khatam. all over the end of his existence as that mouse. Right? So similarly here, this verse says, Lord, it is your time energy. All of a sudden, the people think, oh, I have so many plans, I can enjoy. But just like a greedy snake, a greedy tongue of a hungry snake can take and kill a mouse, similarly, you as a time factor destroy everything. Therefore, that leads to the next verse. Therefore, who is that intelligent person who will not take shelter of your lotus feet? And that's the last verse of Rudra Gita. I mean, the main philosophy. And then Lord Shiva speaks few more verses, but that is basically the benefits of chanting these verses. Right? So if you see 65, 66, and 67, 65 is talked about time factor, 66 again time factor, and therefore by 65 and 66 is concluding that those who realize this, they will take shelter of your lotus feet and they will chant Rudra Gita. Right? So that's how he's concluding this part. Okay. So 67 say, Ka pada abjam vijahati pandita. Those who are pandita, those who are learned, they will certainly accept your lotus feet. Right? Without any doubt. So we'll explain this next time. Okay, so this is like we'll come to the end, and then there's verses for Falshruti, which we'll discuss next time, and that will complete Rudra Gita. Then from next chapter, we start a whole new series of chapters which talks of Puranjana. Right? Puranjana. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any final comments? I hope it's okay, Rudra Gita, you understood this last few verses from 60 on to 66, and why Lord Shiva is actually talking of these verses to make the point that who is the intelligent person who will not chant Rudra Gita?
Yeah, I like the point that how Srila Prabhupada purports or explanations or references are so perfect in explaining the verses.
Yeah, it's amazing how Prabhupada finds Chaitanya Charitamrita. And imagine at that time, it's not that Prabhupada is searching on ChatGPT and saying like, can you give a reference for this or Veda base? Prabhupada just, okay, this shloka, okay, Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse will be perfect for here. It's amazing. And this verse is not there in like Acharya's commentary. This Prabhupada has selected that perfect verse. Okay. Any other points?
I feel scared sometimes. Like if Srila Prabhupada was here, I mean, after 10 more years, well, AI is like in boom, he would have like whole house full of books.
Yeah. And Prabhupada's main point was like, okay, what the technology is there? Let's see how we can use that in Krishna's service. Yeah. I mean, everything, Krishna has a perfect plan of when Prabhupada came, and then what is Prabhupada has given us seva to do. So we can use technology, how they are now releasing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 5 volume. It's like so exciting with the shloka, with purport. That'll be so wonderful to get Bhakti Rasamrita. So Prabhupada gave the Bhakti Rasamrita as nectar of devotion. But imagine the same thing with word to word. That's so much, right? So Prabhupada actually mercifully gave us seva to do. And we can actually write these books on our Acharya's commentary only because how Prabhupada has explained all this to us.
So do you know who's writing the purports?
So there's different devotees. Devamrit Swami Maharaj is certainly one of those. But there's like a whole team together. One of them is Devamrit Swami Maharaj, who's getting all the purports. And so that's a book that will be soon coming. Maybe, I think they're saying maybe a couple of months or so. But yeah, that'll be very exciting to get that 5-volume Bhakti Rasamrita set. Okay?
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
I have a question. Just trying to understand how, if somebody asks this question, how to explain this in purport of 65. Srimad Bhagavatam says the killing process is natural. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One animal is food for another animal. So this can be taken by non-devotees that, that's why we are meat eating, because I heard this from some non-devotees. That's why we are, the other creatures are meant for our sustenance of our life. I know vegetarian food is the main thing, but how to explain or reconcile and
Yeah.
for the-
Yeah. So certainly we live subsist on other living entities. The verse is saying jivo jivasi. We cannot eat plastic and survive. We cannot manufacture something in industry and say like, okay, we'll eat this and survive. We can process a particular food and survive on that, but we cannot create something and say like from scratch and say you can survive on this. That doesn't happen. We have to take jivo jivasya jivanam. We survive on other living entities. Now that point having said, how do we actually explain that what kind of food is actually meant for us? There are two ways of the different ways of explaining. One is you can explain through a food chain. I mean, even the scientists explain that as a food chain. We eat plants, right? And then there is a place where animals are there in that food chain. So that a perfect food chain which is actually there, who is dependent on whom for everything to function. That's one way of explaining. Second way of explaining, if we are jivo jiva siddhi, we are actually meant to eat animals, then why is there so much cruelty and suffering for animals that when we eat them? Why would, if you see in the nature, everything is so perfectly arranged that when you go and pluck a apple or a strawberry, like it is so much fun that they actually advertise, please come, strawberry plucking season. And children go, they have fun plucking strawberry. This is nature. It is so natural. You pluck a strawberry, you feel, oh, this is so good, and you enjoy it. But imagine taking a child to like, okay, you go cut this animal and eat. It is so cruel, so unnatural. How can anyone accept this as the system of nature? So there are different ways we can try to convince them. The main thing is, how can you say that nature has created this cruelty, that we subject other living entities to so much cruelty and bloodshed, just so that we can survive? When we can survive on plants and be healthy and happy and strong, why cause so much cruelty to other living entities? So, I would say in that way, different ways of explaining.
Prabhu, if you don't mind me saying this,
Yeah.
but because I come from like fully non-vegetarian state, so wherever I encountered this, so I always say, first of all, it is a wrong idea, a notion that we are an animal species. We are an animal kingdom. We are a separate unit of living entities. We are human beings. We are not animals. An animal, a lion can go and grab a fawn, but you being a
Yeah.
person, you cannot go to your neighbor's child and grab
Yeah.
and start eating. That is not animals. That is animalistic. You don't do that. If you can do that, then expect this. If you cannot do that, you cannot, cut. So this is one thing, and then this is a science, bro, that this is a demonic science, like Hiranyakashipu's mentality that everybody is for my satisfaction. Even Gongoshan Prabhu was mentioning that false ego thinks that I am irreplaceable. If I leave this world, the world will go in ruin. You know? So I'm not an animal. I cannot go into my neighbor's house and pick up their newborn child and start eating. A lion does. You are not.
I mean, it is just a point of common sense, Like, how we go to strawberry picking. You will not take your child to like any slaughterhouse. And you know how that Bernard Shaw has said that if slaughterhouses have glass walls, then people will stop eating non-veg. Anyway, so there's so much we can say on this, but it's only 9:53. But yeah, so that's anyway, few points, Mataji, and you can always elaborate on these points. But coming back to Rudra Gita, so I hope everyone, like, this section is good. And we talked about bhakti, the bhakta, and how Lord Shiva is also aspiring. All I want is association of devotees. And then we came to the point of how Lord Shiva is concluding this through the aspect of Brahman, Paramatma, energies of the Lord, universal form, and finally saying that, oh Lord, it is your time factor which is actually taking away everything. Therefore, who is that intelligent? Who is a Pandita who will not take shelter of your lotus feet and who will not chant Rudra Gita? And that's how this chapter will end. Okay. So thank you so much. We'll end here. Grantarashram Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you all so much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I
Thank
thought I had to be a little.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare